Nathan Jenkins, graduating class, Milligan, 2001.
I'm Tony Wallingford. I'm the former basketball coach here and the proud coach of the 1999 championship team. Wow.
That was the only place it would take me to play. You know, Coach gave me a shot, and that's why I was here. Yeah.
Well, we kept hearing about this guy up in Mountain City. That was, quite a player. But it was ironic because in his position, we wanted to wait a year. But I had enough people continue to call me and mention Nate Jenkins, Mountain City, that, I said, I better get up there and take a look. And I was obviously very impressed and said, we need him and we need him now. So we went ahead and moved, and we were very fortunate to get him.
Hey, on that, I knew Milligan was at the game. It was against Sullivan East, and I had 2 points the first half. The second half, luckily, I think I had 23 or 25, so he would talk to me after the game.
And luckily, I stayed. I didn't leave at halftime.
That's right.
But I'm glad I did.
First, on a serious note, I'd run through a brick wall for this man. He believed in us before we knew how good we could be. I remember Wally would not let us take the floor. You remember you wouldn't let us take the floor to practice without our jerseys tucked in, shoelaces tied. I mean, it was business once you walked out onto the court. So he taught us to be prepared, and what it meant to take it serious. And we could go on for days with stories. I dunked on Coach one time in practice. That was fun.
Okay, who's going to tell the story, me or you?
Hey, I don't care.
Okay, let's get the dunk story out right now. We typically, we would practice, we would drill and break things down.
Press break, I think, right?
And then we'd roll into a 5-minute game.
Yeah.
And so we're in this 5-minute game going up and down, and Nate, attacks the basket, and 2 or 3 people in his way, and tries to dunk. And he does get fouled, and I'm like, I'm all over him. Nate, you got to put that ball up on the glass and score the layup. Let's get in our press and let's go. And he's walking to the foul line, and then I said it. You can't dunk anyway. Oh man, it
so he's under the basket.
So I'm standing right under the goal. He goes to the line. We throw in the ball. 3 seconds later, this guy takes one big dribble and just flushes it. He posterized me,
We're lined up to do press break.
Right. And the guys are like,
they looked at me like I was crazy.
What should we do? And I busted out laughing, and we had a good time with that. But that's the dunk story right there. Yeah. Who can forget it?
Yeah.
Well, he was a big part of that success. I'm going to let him go ahead and roll with that a little bit from a player standpoint.
At the beginning of the season, do you remember one of the first drills you had us do? We would do full court tip drill just to condition. We'd run, put the ball in the So he had us running end to end, and the whole time the national tournament was going to be held in Boise, I believe, Idaho.
Yeah, Boise.
So he had us screaming, Idaho, Idaho. So we're getting conditioned and dying, and the whole time we have to scream Idaho. So he did a great job of setting tone early on, just expectation of what the year's about and what the ultimate goal was. So I remember that. And then early in the season, there's all those accolades. But there was a point where we lost a couple back-to-back over at the tournament.
That's right.
That we shouldn't have lost. And I can just remember that was a turning point for us where we kind of buckled down and decided this wasn't who we were and we're better than that. And that propelled us, and then we went on a big run after that.
That was a 19-game winning streak after back-to-back losses at a tournament over here. Well, to accomplish what this team did, the 29 wins and all the rankings and that, I think the obvious is obvious, and that is we had talented players. We had some players that could really play. We had a great combination too. We had some inside, we had some outside. We had super role identification. Guys accepted who they were and committed to, this is what I can do to help us win. Nate, he had to drive and slash and get the ball to the basket. He had to knock down open threes, and he always guarded the other team's best player.
Come on.
And that was a given. The team, when we would go through defensive assignments, it was a given. Nate's got that guy. I mean, that's just the way it was. And he loved that and relished, that role. Then there's the intangibles, super competitive. I mean, these guys, practices were intense. I mean, games were merely an extension of practice. I mean, these guys got after it so hard. I gave them a day off one day, which is so rare. We were just going to watch film. And then I said, you can go upstairs and loosen up a little bit, but then I want you out of here. And I was downstairs putting things away, and I go up, and there's a full court game going on. They just wanted to play. And probably somebody issued somebody else a challenge or something, and it was on. And there they went, and what should have been a day off. They were just super competitive. They had the grit, and they worked so hard that if you were going to beat them, I mean, it was going to take a tremendous effort to beat them. It was just that atmosphere or that kind of personality that these guys had.
I will say, there were points. Do you remember in that season? There were 4 straight games. We were down 11 at halftime. It's almost like I can remember parents and like game 3, we're down 11 at half, and it's almost like no one's stressing because, hey, this is kind of what we do. We're going to come back and win the game.
Game 3 of the 4 in a row.
Right. That's right. That's right.
We got. I don't know what was happening, but we were taking team's best shot too. We had established that we were at the top of the league,
right?
And crowds were full, and everywhere we went, and we stubbed our toe a few times in the first half, and it was so funny because it was 11 points, and it was 4 games in a row, and we won all 4 of those. And sometimes we erased the lead immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes it took us a while, but they did come back in and win. Again, it was going to take a really tremendous effort if you were going to beat these guys.
The thing about Coach, I would say, is as that season progressed, what we started to feel was he got to a point where he trusted us immensely to just go and do, and everybody had their clear role. And there was this quiet confidence that he instilled in the team to just go take care of what you know, and I promise it'll work out. And he just made it fun.
Yeah, that's true. These guys were so committed to our system and their roles, and that we could just, they could go out and they committed to the execution and the effort every day.
Well, I'm a highly competitive person, and Coach allowed that to happen here on the basketball court in Steve Lacey Fieldhouse. And I often remind him that everything I need to know in business and running and leading a firm, I learned here playing for him. So things like persistence and teamwork, and the I is never more important than the collective whole, and just committing to a system and working that. But I'm a financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual and the managing director for our area. But I would say everything I need to know, the suit and tie, the things I wear today, that the only difference is the jersey. He taught me what I needed to know about growing up and being able to lead an organization and run a practice myself, and all that through basketball.
Well, he's really kind in his words there. I love this guy and have great respect for him. And what he's done after basketball is just tremendous. But Nate was one of those guys that I was tough on him. I wanted to make practice so tough. Again, the games were easier than the practice. Some guys you can get on hard, and other guys you have to whisper to. Nate was one of the guys I could yell at. And I would get on him sometimes so hard. And the thing about it? He loved it. He loved it. He loved to be coached and corrected and pushed. And I'll never forget, I'll tell you this story. We were at the Lacey Fieldhouse, and it was a home game, and Nate he wasn't himself. And man, I brought him over to the sideline, and I was giving it to him. And I hear this voice about 10 rows up behind me saying, "Get on him, Wally. Get on him, Wally." That was his dad. And so they knew he could take it, and he loved it. And that's what made him, I think, such a great player and be so successful even today. So,
Hey, on that note, when I would foul somebody, I'd let them drive middle, and you were livid, right? Nate, over here. I'm sprinting over the sideline, and I know what's about to come. I'm face to face with him, and it's just, I'm getting just spit on, chewed out in front of the whole crowd. But I knew if I sit there and took it and listened and just said, "Yes, sir," I could keep playing. And that's all I cared about, is I wanted to keep playing. I just don't let it happen again.
He figured it out early. He figured it out early. And again, having the support of his mom and dad up there in the stands helped a little bit too. They were behind me all the way. So, well, I love Milligan. I love what it stands for, and it was so fun to be a part of Milligan in our little area of men's basketball. Mm-hmm. And so to take it, through the conference and regionally, and then move our program to a national level was just a lot of fun, and it really was an honor to represent Milligan. Is what it meant for us, And at the time, the league was much different back then. I mean, we had a very tight regional league situation with our friends at King and Virginia Intermont, and shortly before that, Carson Newman, LMU, Lee, and all of those people. And we had some very intense rivalries back then. But again, to take it through the league, and then we got out regionally, and then to go to the national level with it was a lot of pride for us, for Milligan. And that was a lot of fun.
It's a great honor, and to be recognized as a great team in history. History tells the tale of how you stand, and ultimately records will be broken. But I would say, being a part of that team and the job Coach did with us, the memories, I would say, are worth the weight in gold. Does the record, is that nice? Yeah. But when he and I get together and we can relive that process and the time together, and him knowing my family is better off for the values and the skill sets that he taught me, that's where it's at for me. That's the value, and so.
Yeah, the wins and all the records are great. And at the time, we didn't set out, hey, we want to be in the Hall of Fame. We were living in the moment and playing every game to the best we could, and just having a great time doing it. But it's those other things along the way that we remember, and the relationship I have with all of his teammates is just really special to me. And I bumped into his dad at Lowe's recently, and we stood in aisle 22 for about 35 minutes and just chatted and had a good time with that. Things like we got invited to one of the most prestigious tournaments for NAI schools in Hawaii. And once we began to get ranked and we got that invitation, we said we can't pass it up. And we went and played in Hawaii. And little things like, I'll never forget, now, you know me, I'm right down the middle. Now listen, we're here to play basketball.
I'm glad you're telling
this is not a vacation. We're here to play. We're here to win. And I just went on and on with him. And I said, and I don't want you out in that sun, because that'll get you, a sunburn, and then you're gonna be miserable playing the games, and so on and so forth. So, well, we get there, we check in the hotel, and I'm unpacking. I look out my window. They're all down by the beach with shirts off. So
now hold on, wait just
or the
a
pool.
minute.
It was the pool.
So here's how it really happened. Is Coach says, guys, we're here on business. Basketball tomorrow, practice, shoot around. I don't need anybody outside messing around. We get to the room, and we're looking out the window, and we're thinking, we're on Waikiki Beach, man. Look at the Diamond Head. Yeah. So we're all like, all right, we're going. We trunked up and we went downstairs and we run out on the beach and Coach has got a towel laid out and he's rubbing on sunscreen. Hey guys, this is great, isn't it? You know, I mean, that's how the story
They caught me
go.
on that one, and of course I had to endorse. Okay, have some beach time here before. But
that's good.
That's the stuff we remember. The wins and the numbers and all that, they're great, but it's the stuff along the way that I think is special. Well, I like to say, that Nate is one member of that team, but that whole team just had so many good players, and they all came together in such a great way. And we're speaking on their behalf on this as well, and what a great team, and what a lot of fun we had together. So on behalf of all the players of the '99 team, it's really an honor to be in the Hall of Fame.
So true.